Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to EA Tetragrammaton, where we are playing It is turn 107, and hopefully it is the beginning of the end. We'll see. Let's see what's happening this turn. So, we have completed Blood Magic 8. We're on our way to Blood Magic 9. It's just the last thing left. So we're doing it. We have a whole host of other little things that we're going to breeze through. Summon Ugalu, did a Curse of Blood, summoned some Kusarikus, Augury, didn't find anything, and dun dun dun! Our global enchantment was dispelled when another global enchantment was created. What did we lose? We lost Well of Misery, actually. So that's kind of somewhat interesting, right? Now, this is... I don't want to say it's not really a good thing necessarily, but it's now at that state of it could be worse, right? Gift of Health would be incredibly bad for us to lose at this point. And I think actually Gift of Nature's Bounty would also be incredibly bad for us to lose at this point. Well of Misery hurts, and I'm not happy about having lost it. Our death income right now is a very intense amount of power that we can levy in the concept of developing Tartarians and Liches. Both powerful units that if we can shovel out repeatedly over and over and over again, that's a lot of power. With the Well of Misery, we were at about 50 or so death gems per turn. So we were kind of in the state where we could produce 2 Tartarians for the death gem side of things. The nature gem side of things is an entirely different matter. But for the death gem side of things, we could do 2 Tarts and a Lich every single turn and break even. And that's big. That's a lot of power coming out of our death economy. Losing Well of Misery means that we can't do nearly that. 2 Tarts gets us at 20 gems, and I think we're at a total of 26 right now with death gems. So 6 gems really doesn't make the bridge the gap to the 30 that a Lich costs. That means we're back to a scenario where it's more feasible to do something like a Tart and a Lich, but even at that point, we're still not breaking even. We're just slowing the decline. So, this hurts, but it's hopefully not the worst thing in the world, and that's because we're hopefully not going to be playing for very much longer. Fingers crossed. We do cast another Tartarian Gate. We're summoning several Ugalus. Get another Augury, Gift of Reason on a Tartarian, another Tartarian Gate, another Augury, finds nothing. Another Lichcraft, another Ugalu, another Augury, find nothing, another Augury, finds nothing, another Lichcraft, another Augury, finds nothing, and a Dark Knowledge finds nothing. So, Tart 4 searched for magic sites. Thanks, Tart 4. That's very useful. We actually capture a fair number of blood slaves for us, right? For not really having a blood economy prior to the last 15 or 20 turns. And then we have a couple of unexpected events. Lost some population, gained some unrest, had a barbarian attack. Wait, sorry. Barbarians are going to attack. We haven't had one yet. Lost some province income in Niota, and we had an attack in Jabal Kish. So this was just some dire wolves, which against our Gift of Health province defense, these guys can't do anything. So, we also can see that we have been successful in purchasing a massive amount of mercenaries. Let's see how this goes. This time around, we actually had significantly less money. I think that's because of the Well of Misery steal. But it's honestly, it's not a big deal. We still had like 15k to play with. And again, we have still reached that point to where I am recruiting everything everywhere. I'm even just recruiting random units in different locations. Like I'm recruiting Lizard Warriors in Sinkhole Swamp. I'm recruiting Ko-Onis over here in Mighty Pillars. I'm recruiting Bakemono Show over here in Underspring. Just kind of as this an aside, I'm recruiting cavemen in Yellow Caves to patrol down the unrest in Yellow Caves rather than actually sending a force out there to do it. I'm just gonna hire them there and do it then. So we have an absurd amount of money. Also, this includes multiple palisades going up. We're putting a palisades and a temple here. We're putting temples in multiple locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 temples. 6 temples. Continuing a palisade in Tyrannia. 7 temples. Wait, I don't know if I counted that yet. We're doing another palisade in Scrawl Point. We're doing a palisade in Olantova. So we're spending a lot of just miscellaneous money here or there. A lot of these temples are probably going to get destroyed in raiding, and a lot of these palisades probably aren't going to make it up. They'll probably get hit before anything is accomplished. But that might not be the case. And honestly, like, we have too much money. We have so much money that I forgot. Just forgot about this. I forgot that we still owned Mictlan. So I'm actually recruiting units over in Mictlan. Get a Lion Tribe Witch Doctor. We'll get some people. So we're recruiting everything basically everywhere. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of stuff to be able to do over here. Kind of whatever. Ooh, my mouse just started freaking out. Aside from that, what are we doing? Well, we are. You can see there's a couple of like little miscellaneous movements. A lot of these are moving people out with the intention of building labs or temples or things like that. We're probably going to try to put something down in Pugria, right? We're moving people over to Delca to potentially start building there. Etc., etc., right? Most of those little movements are those types of things. Looking for new places to spend some of this additional money and maybe gain some power off of that infrastructure. The big things that we are doing this turn are mobilizing against Hinam. So this is the turn that it begins. We are going to be marching massive armies from Kailasa and from Pangaea. Both of these armies are going to be in excess after combining everything of 350 or so units. Right now, there's quite a few more units here in Wick Forest awaiting the Pangaean army than are actually going to be a part of the Pangaean army, and that is because this is where we hired all of the mercenaries. These mercenaries, by the way, are immediately on the march. They are heading to Delufe, and they're going to be kind of like a screen. I'm going to be probably launching them at White Forest, and he's going to have to deal with them before the actual army gets there. Now, with what we have here, right, it's not enough to crack this fortification in a single turn, but with what we have in Pangaea, it absolutely is. So if he has some tricks up his sleeves, if he throws something at us, but part of the army survives and he doesn't deal with the mercenary army, then it's a possibility that we can, still get our time frame of basically 1, 2, 3, 4 turns, right? So that's what we're kind of looking at is 1, 2, 3 to get there, and then a 4th to storm the castle. So same down here in Kailasa, 1, 2, 3 to get there, a 4th to storm the castle. And this is potentially going to coincide because we can launch an army from and do 1, 2, storm the castle. Okay, so our 1, 2, 3, 4 is next 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So next turn we could, not saying we will, but we could move against Lanka. And keep in mind, we just need, it doesn't matter which ones we get, we just need 3 thrones. If we can get 3 thrones, we are good to go. Okay? So that's the general game plan. How are we augmenting? So I'm not going to go over every single army and in every single detail. We're basically casting most of what we can. All of the big buff spells. We're doing all of the things like Army of Gold or Lead. I can't remember which one we did. I think we're doing Lead on all of them. We're doing things like Fog Warriors. We're doing things like Mass Regeneration, Relief, Gaia's Blessing. I've actually tossed in a bunch of Quickenings on there. A lot of, well, not a lot, but in both armies, instead of having just a crazy amount of Water Elemental cast summoners, I've got some people doing Quickenings instead, which can be a valuable asset. We've got Life After Death mixed in there now. Of course, we have our Storms and just, a massive amount of Air Gurus doing Thunderstrike spam. We've Got Arrow Fins and Wind Guides mixed in. We've got Demon Cleansing mixed in. We've got pretty much everything covered except for massive evocation spells. We aren't bombarding things with super big, like we're not earthquaking everything. We're not firestorming everything. We're not shimmering fields ing everything. We're not wind of deathing everything. We're not wailing wind or using blood rain or things like that. So there are some things that we are missing as far as the late game battlefield options go, and we even have some mid-game battlefield options that we're still mixing in. Things like Howl, or I guess Mist of Deception is more late game, but Mist of Deception. Still doing things like Foul Vapors, just in case, someone's not putting up a Serpent's Blessing or a Gaia's Blessing. That can kind of slip in as a tricky thing that people forget about. And just generally speaking, relying on a lot of so we're in the late game, right? We're past the point of human combatants. We have big, beefy, beefcake infantry, so as long as those guys get buffed, it can be really hard for an opposing army to battlefield wipe us. To mix things in, though, we do have a couple of final tier scenarios. Specifically, we have stuff like Master Enslave, right? That is a real big deal for a lot of people, so fingers crossed that it does some good stuff for us. Now, I do think that this army is still pretty susceptible to certain things. For instance, a well-geared, uniquely geared Grigory launching themselves into one of these armies is still going to be a problem. Probably an intense problem. I have not fixed that in the fact that I don't have a killer with every single army. Now, this Tartarian Titan, for example, could do some damage, but really it doesn't hit nearly hard enough, and it doesn't have the specialized gear to do what it needs to do against something like a Grigory. Okay? And that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with at the moment. Same thing with this one, right? Hits somewhat hard, but doesn't have the right specialized gear to deal with something like a Grigory. So I don't really have an answer for the Grigories. We're kind of just playing it by ear and going to see how it goes. And then, of course, there is the Flames from the Sky. So I have 2 Flames from the Sky targeting Raphabolia. We can't see their army right now, but it's a relatively safe assumption that it's still there. And we have 2 Flames from the Sky targeting White Forest. Actually going to put people directly on both of those over the course of the 2 turns. So the hope there is that the He's also has giant units, but he's got a lot of other things, a lot of chaff and things like that. The hope is that the double flames from the sky are going to be enough to nuke just about everything. And the other hope is that this opening salvo, he's not really going to be able to respond to very well. So hopefully we will obliterate most of what is in White Forest and most of what is in Rafabolia. Then we'll be able to turn around and, you know, just toss a Flames from the Sky here at Realm of Silence, maybe toss a Flames from the Sky at Greendale. We won't have to sit here and just do multiple Flames from the Sky every single turn over and over and over again, which is good because we won't be able to do that for very long. In theory, what we would want to do is this turn, 4 Flames from the Sky, 1 targeting White Forest, 2 targeting Rafabolia, 2 targeting White Forest. Next turn, we would want to put 2 Flames from the Sky onto Sleepy Wolds, and then maybe 1 spot checking, right? 1 down here in maybe Jaburnia or Rafabolia, maybe 1 over in Realm of Silence, maybe 1 in Greendale. So probably still do 4 next turn, which is still another 120 gems. But after that, the hope is that I wouldn't need to toss anything down for a turn or 2. And then when I do need to toss something down, it's only like 1 at a time. That being said, though, we could keep eyes on something like this army over in Femoria, because who knows? It could march, and become a problem. Fortunately for us, though, Flames from the Sky has a 3 range, or a 3 cast range. So for it to get to Sleepy Wolds, it has to come into range of the Flames from the Sky. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. We know we're marching, we're doing the Flames from the Sky stuff, we're doing a couple of other little things, we're recruiting absolutely everywhere. I think the last couple things is we're continuing, of course, we're gonna vamp up every single turn that we have the opportunity to. I don't think we have any real interest in utilizing our blood slaves for any other thing. We could do something like maybe trying to get Rush of Strength into some of our armies. The only problem with that is, it's not really a problem, is we've got a lot of Earth Gurus, and most of them are doing things like Legions of Steel and Strength of Giants. Rush of Strength, of course, would hit everyone on the battlefield, all of our troops on the battlefield, and we could just flip over to doing things like, I don't know, Blade Wind or something like that. But, it's not a bad idea. I just don't know that I care too much. We'll see how it goes, right? Other than that, we are continuing with what we have been doing here in 2 Lichcrafts, 2 Tartarians, 2 Gifts of Reason. That's not going to be able to continue. One, that's not going to be able to continue because of the Death Gem issue with the Well of Misery. That means we're going to lose a lot in that case. The other reason being is because we need more nature gems, and Gift of Reason is 20 nature gems a pop. So we've gotta for at least now slow down our Tartarian production for at least a couple turns. So what we're probably going to do for the next few turns is only do 1 tart per turn, and then 1 Gift of Reason per turn. Obviously, next turn, since we're doing 2 tarts this turn, that won't be the case. But next turn, you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and kick this off now. Let's stop with the 2 tarts, and we'll do another Lich, actually. I say we'll do another Lich, but what about a Wraith Lord? Wraith Lords are so expensive compared to a Lich. I think I would rather just use a Lich. So we'll do another Lich. That's going to cost us a few more Death Gems, but that's okay. Next turn, it's going to save us Nature Gems, which I think is more important at this current point in time. So we're going to save some Nature Gems. We need to save some more Astral Pearls and some more Earth Gems. So really not doing good on those 3. But that's because we've had to put a lot of gems into these 2 armies, And next turn, we're going to have to put a lot more. We're going to have to put gems on, because right now, I'll be up front, these armies have no spare gems. So I'm going to have to put some spare gems onto some scouts or some side units and have those spares available for when we potentially get gem baited by the enemy. I'm not really gonna like heckle myself too terribly bad here, because what the fuck's the point? But I was very, very, very frivolous with our gems early on, and this is another reason why I don't like large banks and I prefer large incomes, is because when I have a large income but not much in the bank, I am acutely aware of what I have and what I am allowed to get away with spending every single turn. When I have a large bank, though, I get a little frivolous, basically. I'm trying to be nice to myself and not like just really rip into it. But it basically boils down to, like, having a lot in the bank means that I don't think about the costs or whether or not it's important enough or efficient to do a thing that I'm doing. I've got it, so fuck it, let's do it, right? So that's just another little side rant, right? That's just another reason why I really like having high incomes, and I'm less enthusiastic about high banks. Obviously, having a massive bank and a massive income is the best, but you can't always have that. So, we're also continuing to forge more gear, right? Scutata Volturnus, Dragon Helms. A lot of the gear that we're forging right now is very generic gear, and that's because I want to be forging gear for some of these Tartarians, primarily, but a lot of the gear that I would want to make specifically is from gems that I don't have a lot of right now. So instead, I'm forging semi-generic gear that can be somewhat useful in the right situations, like the two tarts that we have, one in Pangaea, one in Kailasa. Neither of their gear sets are incredibly impressive, but they'll work in a pinch, so that's okay. I think that's pretty much it, honestly. This turn in and of itself is not the super exciting turn. It's the next turn that should be interesting. Should be a fun time to see how everything turns out. We've got, by the way, our two tarts this turn. They both are feeble-minded, so we're going to have to wait for them to recover from that. Kind of a pain in the ass. This one also still has a lost arm that he is trying to recover from, and that has been there for basically eternity. I'm not convinced that he's ever going to heal. And we have two more, not the exact same, but one is the lightning bolt wielding Cyclops, and the other is the enchanted sword wielding Cyclops. So pretty interested in seeing how those turn out. They are both getting Gift of Reason this turn. Okay, I think that's about it. Should be exciting to see things. Ooh, you know what? That's a lie. I need to send this Ishib and this Gudu over to with as much as they can carry. Because we've been trying to resupply with bodies, and we're probably going to have to march from next turn if we want things to come out in a timely manner, at least. So, all right, that's going to be it for the turn. Very excited to see how things work. I'm hoping next turn we get to read these reports from the Flames from the Sky, and we just get to see like 300 killed, you know, that type of stuff. But I don't know. Also, we might turn around and just have that thrown back at us real fucking quick. So, fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.